The ship Aurora drifted silently through the vastness of space, its silver hull reflecting the glow of a distant blue star. Inside, the crew moved with quiet purpose. They were far from Earth, representing humanity in a place few had ever dreamed to see. Beyond the observation windows lay the capital station of Lumerus, a shining world of towers, gardens, and glowing domes suspended among the stars. It was a place of wonder, filled with species older and more advanced than humankind. For many, the sight was overwhelming. For Ryan, a young crewman standing at the back of the assembly hall, it was almost beyond belief. The hall itself was enormous. Transparent walls showed the endless sky of space, and polished floors shimmered with patterns that seemed to move like water. Hundreds of envoys had gathered. Their colors, shapes, and voices created a living sea of diversity. Some floated, some walked, others glided with elegance unknown to Earth. Yet all were silent as a single figure entered through the grand archway. She was known as the Princess of Lumerus. No one was certain if the title was literal or ceremonial. Some said she was born into a royal line, others believed she was chosen by her people as a living symbol. Whatever the truth, her presence silenced the hall. She moved with calm grace, her attire flowing like starlight, her eyes bright as crystal lakes. To many, she was more than a leader. She was a vision of beauty and wisdom, a bridge between countless worlds. Ryan had read about her in mission reports. He had seen images on glowing screens. But standing here, watching her walk past alien dignitaries and approach the center platform, he felt his heart beat faster. His throat tightened. He was just a minor crewman, assigned to observe and assist where needed. He had no voice in diplomacy. Yet the sight of her struck him more deeply than any words could explain. Without thinking, he leaned slightly toward the nearest window and whispered, almost to himself, "She's the most magnificent princess I've ever seen." The words were soft, barely carried past his lips. He believed they would vanish in the hum of the hall. No one should have heard them. But something unexpected happened. The princess paused. Slowly, she turned her head. Her gaze swept across the assembly and came to rest on him. Ryan froze. His chest tightened as if the air had thinned. Around him, officers and envoys shifted, whispering in surprise. Why would the princess look at him, an ordinary human without title or station? Her expression was calm, almost curious, as though she had sensed something unusual. For a long moment, her eyes held his, and the hall seemed to fade away. Then, with the same steady grace, she faced forward again and continued toward the platform. But the silence she left behind carried weight. The humans near Ryan gave him quick glances, their faces mixed with confusion and caution. Across the hall, other species murmured in their languages, tails flicking, wings shifting, or eyes blinking in patterns of thought. Ryan's heart pounded. He had not meant to draw attention. He had only spoken what he felt, an honest whisper born of wonder. Now, however, it seemed that single whisper had shifted the air of the gathering. The ceremony began. Leaders of various worlds spoke with measured words, voices echoing in countless languages. They discussed trade, peace, and shared defense. Yet Ryan noticed that more than once, eyes from across the room flicked in his direction. Some seemed curious, others wary. The princess herself did not glance back at him again, but he could not shake the memory of that first look. As the meeting ended, the human delegation gathered in a private chamber aboard Aurora. Their leader, Commander Ella, a tall woman with calm but firm eyes, faced Ryan directly. "Crewman Ryan," she said, her voice carrying a careful edge, "what happened in the hall?" Ryan felt heat rise in his face. I only spoke quietly, Commander. I did not think anyone could hear. I said nothing untrue or disrespectful." The commander studied him. Around her, senior officers exchanged uncertain looks. Finally, she sighed. Perhaps it was nothing. Perhaps the princess merely glanced at you by chance. But others noticed. We must tread carefully. Humanity's place here is fragile. Ryan nodded, though his thoughts remained tangled. He had no intention of drawing notice. Yet deep inside, he could not forget the moment when her eyes had turned to him, as if she had truly heard his words across the crowd. That night, he stood again by the ship's observation window. The capital of Lumerus shone in the distance, domes glowing like pearls, towers rising like crystal trees. He wondered what the princess thought when she looked at him. Did she hear his whisper as he imagined, or was it only chance? Perhaps it did not matter. Yet part of him believed it did. Part of him believed that something had begun, something no one else yet understood. As stars drifted slowly outside, Ryan whispered once more, but this time only to himself, certain no one could hear. The day after the assembly, the corridors of the Aurora felt different to Ryan. His footsteps seemed louder in the metal halls, and the hum of machinery sounded sharper. He moved carefully, unsure if anyone would look at him differently now. Even the smallest glance from a fellow crew member seemed charged with meaning. He had spoken only a soft whisper, yet somehow it had traveled farther than he imagined. At breakfast in the human quarters, his friend Lonnie, a communications officer, raised an eyebrow. "You seem distracted," she said, her voice gentle. "Did something happen in the hall yesterday?" Ryan hesitated. Could he explain without sounding foolish? I spoke a quiet sentence, he said finally. "Nothing important. I just admired the princess." I whispered it quietly, thinking no one would hear. Lonnie's eyes widened slightly. "You mean you said something about her?" "That might have been noticed," she said. "I thought she didn't even look at most of the humans." Ryan felt a rush of unease. She turned toward me. Just for a moment. I think she heard me." Lonnie's gaze softened. "That's unusual. The princess rarely acknowledges individuals like that. Most species are too small to interest her personally. Humans are even smaller." Ryan shook his head. "I don't know why she looked at me. Maybe it was chance." But deep down, he could not convince himself. There was a sense of recognition in her eyes, a kind of curiosity he had never felt from anyone before. That afternoon, Commander Ella called him into the main conference room. The room was spacious, filled with holographic displays and data panels. Delegates from Earth had gathered, discussing reports from the Lumerian capital. Ryan entered and found the commander already seated, her hands folded on the table. "Ryan," she began, her tone careful, "I need to understand exactly what happened yesterday." "I whispered about the princess," Ryan said quietly, avoiding the gaze of the officers around him. "I only said she is the most magnificent princess I've ever seen. It was a thought I spoke aloud." The commander's lips pressed into a thin line. "Did you intend to draw attention?" "No, Commander. I did not. I only spoke honestly. It was not meant as a message or an act of diplomacy." Ella nodded slowly. "You understand, of course, that the eyes of this assembly were upon us. Humanity is still young in the galaxy. We must not be seen as reckless or careless." "I understand," Ryan replied, though he felt a flicker of something else inside him. Pride. Curiosity. A strange hope that maybe, in some quiet way, the princess had noticed something true about humanity, even if the galaxy had not yet seen it. Later, Ryan was assigned to assist with translations in the embassy's observation tower. From here, he could watch the capital of Lumerus in full light. The city seemed alive, towers and gardens moving gently as if breathing. Lumerians glided through the streets, interacting with other species, conducting business, exchanging ideas. They were elegant and precise, their manners carefully measured. Yet in all the bustling activity, the memory of the princess's glance remained vivid in Ryan's mind. A voice interrupted his thoughts. Ryan. He turned to see Tomasz, a young engineer, smiling cautiously. I heard about yesterday. Are you feeling all right? I am, Ryan said. It's just, unexpected. She looked at me, and for a moment it felt like nothing else existed. Tomasz chuckled softly. You always did have a way of noticing small details. Maybe she saw that in you. Ryan smiled faintly but said nothing. He returned to his post, translating communications between Earth and the Lemurian Council. Every message, every signal, carried weight. Every word mattered. Yet in his mind, the princess's eyes were always there, a quiet reminder of something larger than orders, reports, or protocols. Days passed, and the ripple effect of that single gaze became more apparent. Some human crew members noticed that Lemurian officials seemed to observe Ryan a little more often. Questions were whispered about him among the corridors of the embassy. Other species began to speculate as well, their gestures and looks filled with cautious curiosity. He had not acted differently, had not done anything extraordinary, yet somehow he had drawn attention. Ryan began to wonder about the meaning of it. Was it simply a fleeting curiosity, or was there something more? Humanity's reputation in the galaxy was still fragile. They were explorers, diplomats, and travelers among civilizations that had survived for thousands of years. Their ships were small, their knowledge limited, their weapons weaker. Yet the princess had looked at him. And in that gaze, he felt something extraordinary, recognition of humanity itself, a hint that humans might matter in ways the galaxy had not yet imagined. That evening, Ryan returned to the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly, their light moving across the black void. The Lemurian capital gleamed below, glowing with soft colors, gardens suspended in air like living jewels. He thought about the whisper he had spoken, the sound of it almost swallowed by the vast hall. Yet her eyes had found him, and in that instant, something had shifted. Lonnie joined him at the railing. You've been quiet all day, she said. Thinking about her again. Ryan nodded. Yes. It was just, strange. I did not expect anything, yet it felt, important. I think she understood something in me, or in all of us. Something human. Lonnie considered this. Maybe she sees something worth noticing in a species that is still young. Something that others overlook. Humans have courage, hope, and determination. Perhaps that is what she saw. Ryan looked at her, then back at the city below. The thought gave him courage. Even if humanity was small, even if they were new to the galactic stage, perhaps they had qualities that mattered beyond technology or wealth. Perhaps in honesty, bravery, and spirit, humans could shine brighter than any weapon or machine. Later, as the deck lights dimmed, Ryan whispered again, quietly, almost to the stars themselves. Why did she look at me? What did she see? There was no answer, only the endless night and the glow of the distant city. Yet Ryan felt a quiet certainty growing within him. Something had begun. Something that would change the way humans were seen among the stars. He did not know the full path ahead. He only knew that his place, small though it seemed, was now linked in some way to the princess and to the fate of humanity. In that realization, he felt a spark of purpose, a reason to continue, to explore, and to prove that humanity was capable of more than the galaxy had yet imagined. Days passed quietly aboard the Aurora, but Ryan could not shake the memory of the princess's gaze. Each moment he spent among the human crew, assisting with reports and communications, he felt the subtle pull of something larger unfolding. It was as if the galaxy itself had whispered that his path was about to change. The morning began with a routine briefing. Commander Ella addressed the human delegation, reviewing schedules for meetings, translations, and diplomatic protocols. Ryan listened carefully, noting every detail, but his mind wandered to the distant city of Lumerus. The domed gardens, the floating towers, the glow of life beneath the twin suns. He imagined walking among them and seeing the princess again. Just as the briefing concluded, a message arrived through the secure communication channels. It was not addressed to the commander or the diplomats. It was for Ryan alone. He opened it with trembling hands. The message was simple, yet astonishing. Crewman Ryan, you are requested to visit the central gardens of the Lumerian capital. The princess wishes to speak with you. Approach without hesitation at the appointed time. Ryan read the words 3 times, each repetition confirming their reality. A meeting with the princess herself was not a casual invitation. It was an honor reserved for the most trusted or extraordinary individuals. He felt both awe and nervousness. Lonnie noticed his expression. "What is it?" she asked. He handed her the message, and her eyes widened. "She wants to see you," Lonnie whispered, her voice filled with disbelief. "This is remarkable. Very few humans have ever received such attention." "I don't understand why," Ryan admitted. "I only whispered a thought. I did not act in any special way. I am not a diplomat or a warrior. I am just me." Lonnie smiled gently. "Maybe that is why she wants to see you. Sometimes, what is simple and honest is more meaningful than any carefully planned act. Perhaps she wants to know the truth of humanity, not the performance." The appointed hour arrived, and Ryan followed the Lumerian escort through corridors that seemed alive with subtle light. The walls pulsed gently, reflecting the energy of the city beyond. He passed chambers filled with floating flora, gardens suspended in air, and streams of water glowing faintly with bioengineered luminescence. It was a city of wonders, beyond anything Earth had ever seen. Finally, they reached the central gardens. The space was enormous, a dome of glass stretching high above, allowing twin suns to pour light across the landscape. Trees with leaves like glass sway gently without wind. Flowers glowed with soft colors that shifted with the passing hours. Small streams wound through the garden, reflecting both light and the movement of creatures unseen. The princess stood at the center, waiting. She wore simple attire that flowed like liquid light, yet carried elegance beyond description. Her eyes, bright and calm, regarded him as he approached. "Crewman Ryan," she said, her voice soft but carrying an authority that made silence feel respectful. "Thank you for coming." Ryan bowed slightly, unsure if his gesture was formal enough, humble enough, or even correct. "It is my honor, Princess." She smiled faintly. "You surprised me in the assembly hall. Most humans are cautious, careful to remain invisible among others. You spoke honestly, without fear. That is rare in one so young." Ryan felt heat rise in his cheeks. "I did not expect to be noticed, Princess. I only spoke the truth of what I felt." The princess nodded. "That is why I wished to speak with you. I want to understand your species, not from records, not from reports, but from one who lives among them. You carry the thoughts of humanity as it truly is." He hesitated, unsure where to begin. "Humans are ordinary in many ways," he said finally. "We do not have the technology of your people, nor the centuries of knowledge. But we endure. We build, we explore, we continue even when things seem impossible. We hope, even when hope is fragile." The princess listened intently, her gaze never leaving him. She walked slowly beside a stream, and he followed. "That is a rare perspective," she said. "Many civilizations value power, wealth, or perfection. Few see value in persistence or courage of spirit. You speak of what makes humanity unique." Ryan felt a mixture of pride and humility. "I do not know if it is unique," he said honestly. "But it is what we have. And it is what we rely upon when we face challenges." She stopped near a glowing tree, its branches arching like delicate glass sculptures. You may not realize it, crewman, but your words show insight that many leaders lack. You see beyond appearances. You understand the meaning behind action and spirit. Ryan lowered his head. I only speak what I know. I have seen people fight through hardships, not for reward, but because it is right to try. That is what I wanted to convey yesterday, even in my small whisper. The princess regarded him silently for a long moment. Then, with a gentle smile, she said, that is why I turned toward you. I sensed honesty, clarity, and a reflection of your species' essence. Many speak loudly. Many act with show. Few speak truth from the heart. You have done both. Ryan felt a warmth spread through him. For the first time in his life, he realized that even someone of incredible power and wisdom could recognize the value of honesty. His place, small as it seemed among countless stars, mattered in a meaningful way. Tell me more, the princess said. Tell me of Earth, of humans, of what you hold important. Not what you read in books, not what your leaders instruct you to say. Speak what you believe. And so, Ryan began. He spoke of Earth's oceans, of mountains and deserts, of cities built from stone and steel. He spoke of families and friendships, of hardships and triumphs. He spoke of curiosity, dreams, and hope. He spoke of humanity's stubbornness, its ability to continue even in impossible circumstances. The princess listened, nodding occasionally, her eyes reflecting the twin suns above. Your people have spirit, she said softly. I see now why they endure despite their small size and brief history among the stars. Your stories are worth more than records or reports. They carry life itself. Time passed, though neither noticed. The stream's gentle sound and the soft glow of the gardens created a world outside of time. Ryan felt himself growing more confident, more certain of the value of honesty and of his species. Finally, the princess spoke again. You have given me insight beyond what any archive could provide. Thank you, crewman Ryan. You have reminded me that even in a galaxy of immense power, the simplest truths can be the most profound. Ryan bowed deeply. It is my honor, princess. She smiled once more, serene and radiant. The galaxy is full of wonders, Ryan. But never forget that what makes your people remarkable is not your technology or reach. It is your heart, your mind, and your will to continue. He left the gardens that day changed. The city below shimmered like a jewel, but he saw it now differently. It was not just beauty or engineering. It was a place where connection, honesty, and recognition could matter more than grandeur. And he understood that his life, small as it seemed, was part of something much larger, a story of humanity beginning to shine among the stars. Ryan returned to the Aurora after his visit to the Central Gardens, but he felt different. The memory of speaking with the princess lingered, carrying warmth, purpose, and a quiet sense of responsibility. He realized that humanity's story was larger than any one person, yet each individual could still make a difference. Every word he had spoken, every observation he had shared, mattered in ways he was only beginning to understand. The human crew noticed a change in him. He moved with a subtle confidence, no longer hesitant in his duties. He asked questions more boldly, offered suggestions with clarity, and carried himself with quiet assurance. Some officers whispered among themselves. They had never seen such transformation from a young crewman who had been so reserved before. During a briefing in the communications hall, Commander Ella addressed the crew. Humanity has the attention of the Lumerian princess. This is unusual, and it reflects the potential she sees in our species. We must act wisely and consistently to honor that trust. Ryan nodded, but his mind was elsewhere. The princess had asked him to speak truthfully about humanity, and he had done so. Now he wondered, would those words make a difference? Could they show the galaxy that humans were more than small, fragile explorers? The opportunity came sooner than he expected. Reports arrived of a natural disaster on one of Lumira's orbiting moons. A powerful storm of charged particles had damaged life support systems and threatened the delicate ecosystems maintained in the moon's domed habitats. The Lumirians were alarmed, and the other species present debated cautiously about the response. Many envoys suggested waiting, fearing risk to their own crews or ships. Ryan watched as discussions dragged on. He felt the tension in the room, the fear, and the hesitation. Then he realized that humans, though small and untested in this galaxy, had a skill the others often underestimated: creativity under pressure. He rose to speak. "Commander," he said, voice calm but firm, "we can help. We do not have the largest ships or the oldest technology, but we can stabilize the system with what we know. We only need a chance to act." Ella studied him carefully. "Explain." Ryan moved to the holo map, pointing at the orbiting moon and the damaged modules. "The Lumirian system relies on precise energy flow. We can reroute auxiliary power through multiple smaller conduits, creating a temporary balance. It is risky, but it could buy enough time to repair the main system. My team is ready to attempt it." The room fell silent. The Lumirian delegates exchanged glances, their glowing eyes reflecting uncertainty. Many had never relied on humans for such critical action. Yet in that silence, Ryan sensed something extraordinary: belief in human spirit could outweigh caution. Ella nodded. "You have your team. Proceed carefully." Ryan and a small crew of engineers rushed to the moon. Their ship, compact and nimble, approached the orbiting habitat. Alarms blared as systems warned of imminent failure. Ryan took a deep breath and directed his team. "Focus on auxiliary conduits. Stabilize energy flow. Double-check all connections," he instructed. "We are small, but we are precise. Move with care and confidence." The crew worked tirelessly, following his lead. Ryan's hands moved steadily over controls, rerouting energy, monitoring feedback, and giving instructions. Despite the storm outside, they adapted quickly. Human ingenuity combined with determination created a rhythm that no automated system could replicate. After tense moments, the lights of the habitat stabilized. Energy levels balanced. The storm still raged, but the life support systems held. Relief spread among the human crew, and across the galaxy, sensors recorded the success. Back on the Lumirian capital, the princess observed the operation through real-time feeds. Her eyes reflected admiration, not for technology alone, but for the determination, the calm under pressure, and the creativity of the humans. She saw qualities in them that no centuries of rule or advanced machines could replicate. When the operation concluded, Ryan returned to the capital. The princess awaited him in a quiet garden, as if she had known he would succeed. She smiled, calm and radiant. "You have shown more than words, Ryan," she said. "You have demonstrated the qualities that define your people: persistence, ingenuity, and courage. Your species has strength that few understand. You have answered the question I had in my heart when I first turned toward you." Ryan bowed respectfully. "It was not just me, Princess. My crew worked with me. But your faith in humanity, your curiosity gave me courage." The princess's gaze softened. "It is not about faith alone. It is about seeing truth. I saw truth in your eyes, in your voice, in the way you spoke of your people. You acted in a way that honored your words. That is rare." Ryan felt a wave of pride, tempered with humility. He realized that the moment was not about recognition alone. It was about responsibility. Humanity had been seen, truly seen, for the first time by one of the galaxy's oldest and wisest species. Now the future depended on how they carried themselves. He spent the following days assisting in diplomatic efforts, but now he did so with quiet confidence. His reports included not only technical observations but insights into human spirit. The Lumirians listened carefully, asking questions, seeking understanding. Slowly, Ryan noticed a subtle change in attitudes. Other species began to pay attention to humanity, not as small newcomers, but as a people with insight, creativity, and determination. One evening, Ryan returned to the observation deck of the Aurora. The twin suns of Lumerus had set, leaving the city below glowing with soft lights. He thought of the princess and the moment she had turned toward him in the assembly hall. That single glance had begun a ripple effect. Humanity's actions had answered her curiosity. Their perseverance and ingenuity had spoken louder than any report or demonstration of power. Lonnie joined him quietly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You did well," she said softly. "You reminded them what humans can do. You reminded them why we matter." Ryan looked at her, a faint smile on his lips. "It feels strange. I only spoke truth, only acted as we always try to act. Yet somehow it made a difference." "That is what makes us human," Lonnie said. "We may be small, but our spirit is strong. Our courage, creativity, and honesty matter more than size or strength." Ryan nodded, gazing out at the city lights and the endless stars beyond. "I understand now," he said quietly. "It is not just about what we build or control. It is about who we are. Our choices, our courage, our heart, these define humanity." And somewhere, far above the stars, the princess watched, quietly thoughtful. She had turned toward him not for ceremony, not for show, but because she saw something worth noticing. Something that had now been proven through action. Humanity had answered her question. The galaxy, vast and full of wonders, would remember this moment. Not because humans were the strongest, nor because they had the most advanced technology, but because they had shown what made them remarkable: honesty, courage, and the relentless drive to act when it mattered most. Ryan stood in the quiet of the observation deck, feeling the weight of possibility. Humanity had begun its journey among the stars in a way no one could have predicted. And he understood, in his heart, that the story was only just beginning. The success of the moon operation had spread quickly throughout the Lumerian capital. Ryan and the human crew were recognized not as minor visitors but as individuals who had acted with courage and precision when others hesitated. Yet, this newfound attention brought its own challenges. Not everyone welcomed humanity's rise. Some of the older species whispered among themselves, wary of humans gaining favor with the princess. Their glances were subtle, their gestures measured, but Ryan could sense the tension. The galaxy had seen humans as small, unpredictable, and inexperienced. Now, the eyes of powerful civilizations were upon them, studying every move, every word, every decision. Commander Ella gathered her team in the communications hall. "The Lumerians are pleased," she said, her voice calm but firm. "But other delegations are watching closely. We cannot rely solely on the princess's goodwill. Humanity must demonstrate its worth again. We must show the galaxy that we are capable, intelligent, and responsible." Ryan listened carefully, feeling the weight of her words. He understood that the true test had only begun. It was not enough to act once, they would be observed, challenged, and judged. The galaxy would measure humans not by their past deeds, but by their ability to respond under pressure. That challenge arrived faster than anyone expected. A distant outpost on the edge of Lumerian space reported a sudden energy anomaly. It threatened to destabilize an entire orbital station, home to hundreds of beings from multiple species. The anomaly was unlike anything the Lumerians had seen. Their advanced systems struggled to calculate the problem, and many species debated whether to intervene directly. Some feared risk to their ships, others questioned whether humans were capable of meaningful help. Ryan knew what needed to be done. "Commander," he said, standing straight and confident, "we can assist. We may not have the experience of the older species, but humans are skilled at adapting to unexpected challenges. We can stabilize the station while the Lumerians analyze the anomaly." Ella considered him. Explain your approach. Ryan moved to the hollow map display, showing the station and the erratic energy patterns. We can reroute energy through auxiliary conduits, just as we did with the moon. This time, the system is more complex. It requires quick thinking, coordination, and flexibility. Humans excel at improvisation. If we act quickly, we can prevent failure and buy time for long-term solutions. The Lumerian delegates exchanged cautious glances. Some whispered in soft tones, expressing doubt about the human ability to manage such a dangerous situation. Others watched silently, intrigued. The princess, observing from the capital, remained calm but attentive. Her eyes seemed to measure not the technology but the human spirit behind it. Ella nodded. You have your team. Proceed, and keep communication constant. Ryan and a group of human engineers boarded the nimble shuttle, racing toward the station. Outside, the void of space stretched endlessly, punctuated by distant stars and the soft glow of the capital far behind. The anomaly pulsed like a living storm, energy flickering unpredictably along the station's surface. Systems beeped warnings, lights flashed, and every calculation seemed to change with each passing moment. Ryan felt his pulse quicken, but he maintained his focus. Team, he called, we have one chance. Follow the plan, but be ready to adapt. Keep calm and trust your instincts. Humanity's best tool is our ability to think and act when nothing goes as expected. The team moved with precision. They rerouted energy, adjusted conduits, and synchronized operations. Small setbacks occurred, as expected, but Ryan guided them calmly, improvising solutions when systems reacted unpredictably. His voice was steady, his decisions confident. The crew responded, inspired by his calm determination. Inside the control room, the anomaly pulsed violently. Alarms rang, warning of imminent system failure. Yet the humans continued, their hands and minds working together. Slowly, the energy patterns stabilized. The station lights returned to normal, life support systems hummed steadily, and the anomaly's destructive potential diminished. Back in the capital, the princess watched. Her expression remained composed, but a faint smile touched her lips. She saw more than the technical success, she saw the determination, courage, and quick thinking that humans brought to a challenge. She understood that this was not mere luck or mechanical skill. It was ingenuity, perseverance, and spirit. When the operation concluded, Ryan returned to the capital, exhausted but proud. The princess awaited him in the central gardens, where sunlight filtered through the glowing foliage, painting the paths with soft color. You have proven much more than skill, she said, her voice calm and melodic. You have shown courage, insight, and the ability to act under pressure. Many species have lived for thousands of years and possess far more knowledge, yet your people achieved what few could imagine. This is the measure of worth. Ryan bowed. It is not only me, princess. My team worked together. But your attention, your belief that humanity could rise to the challenge, gave us courage. We acted because we felt our responsibility, but knowing that you were watching gave us purpose. The princess nodded. True leadership sees not only power but also potential. You have given proof that humanity has qualities that matter in the galaxy. The ability to observe, adapt, and act with clarity of purpose is rare. You have earned the trust that was once uncertain. Ryan felt a sense of pride, tempered by humility. He realized that humanity's journey among the stars was not about dominance or conquest, but about showing what made them exceptional, their heart, mind, and will to act when it mattered most. The next few days brought subtle changes. Other species began to observe human crews more carefully, seeking to understand their methods, strategies, and behaviors. They asked questions, studied decisions, and quietly acknowledged the skill humans brought to unexpected challenges. It was a recognition not demanded, not boasted, but earned through honesty and action. Ryan walked again through the observation deck of the Aurora, gazing at the glowing city below. The twin suns had set, leaving soft lights reflecting in the domes of the Lemurian capital. The galaxy outside stretched endlessly, full of possibility and wonder. He thought of the first moment he had whispered a single sentence in awe, and how that simple truth had led to recognition, trust, and opportunity. Lonnie joined him quietly, her expression thoughtful. "You have changed things," she said softly. "You reminded the galaxy why humans matter. You reminded them that even the smallest voice can carry truth and courage." Ryan smiled faintly. "It was never about me. It was about what humans can do when given the chance. We may be young, small, and inexperienced, but we have heart, ingenuity, and persistence. That is what matters. That is what the galaxy has begun to see." After the successful stabilization of the orbital station, Ryan felt a quiet confidence growing within him. Humanity's place among the stars was beginning to take shape, not through weapons or power, but through courage, ingenuity, and honesty. Yet he knew that recognition alone was not enough. True understanding between species required trust, respect, and connection. That was something the princess offered, quietly and without ceremony. The day began with a gentle hum of activity aboard the Aurora. Crew members prepared reports, checked equipment, and maintained communication with the capital. Ryan, now more confident in his role, assisted in translating messages from multiple species, noting the subtle changes in tone and intention. Every word mattered, every decision carried weight. Yet he found his thoughts drifting often to the central gardens of Lumerus, to the calm and radiant figure of the princess, whose curiosity and insight had shifted the way humanity was viewed. A message arrived, summoning Ryan to the capital once more. Unlike previous messages, this one was brief, almost personal. "Crewman Ryan, the princess requests your presence. She wishes to speak and observe. Come freely and without hesitation." Ryan felt a mixture of pride and humility. He prepared quickly, ensuring all his duties were covered, and departed with a small escort through the glowing corridors of the city. The air itself seemed alive, vibrating softly with energy, light, and the subtle hum of the Lemurian systems. He passed gardens suspended in the air, streams reflecting colors that shifted with the sun, and creatures of gentle elegance that moved like poetry. The central garden welcomed him, filled with soft light and quiet beauty. The princess waited at the far end, her posture serene, her eyes bright with calm intelligence. She gestured for him to approach. "Crewman Ryan," she said softly, "you have acted with courage and skill. You have proven that humanity has qualities beyond technology and strength. Today, I wish to speak not of tasks or deeds, but of understanding and trust." Ryan bowed respectfully. "It is my honor, Princess." She smiled faintly. "You have seen much of our world, as have we seen of yours. Yet true connection comes not from observation alone, but from shared understanding. Tell me, Ryan, what does humanity hold most dear?" He paused, considering his answer carefully. "Humans hold hope, curiosity, and the desire to create. We build, explore, and learn. Even when we are small or inexperienced, we continue. We endure hardships and mistakes because we believe in tomorrow. That is what makes us human." The princess nodded. "You speak truthfully. Many civilizations measure success by power, wealth, or perfection. Few see value in endurance and persistence. Your people have a quality that cannot be calculated, measured, or taught. It is a gift of the heart and mind." Ryan felt warmth spread through him. It is not a gift we often recognize ourselves. We see our flaws more than our strengths. Yet perhaps that is what allows us to grow. She stepped closer, her gaze steady. "Perhaps. That is why I turned to you the first time in the assembly hall. I sensed honesty, clarity, and insight in you. I wished to see if it reflected humanity itself. Now, I know that it does." For a long moment, they stood in quiet understanding. The garden seemed to pulse gently around them, reflecting the unspoken connection forming. It was not friendship in the ordinary sense, nor alliance in formal terms. It was a bond born of respect, recognition, and the acknowledgement of shared purpose across species and stars. Ryan felt a sense of responsibility settle over him. Humanity had been seen in a new light, and with that recognition came the duty to act with integrity and courage. "Princess," he said, "we will continue to strive for what is right. We will do our best to show the galaxy that humans are more than their ships and machines. That is our responsibility." She inclined her head. "And in doing so, you strengthen not only humanity, but the bonds between worlds. Trust is built in actions as much as words. You have demonstrated that trust is possible, even between species so different." As the conversation continued, Ryan shared stories of humanity's greatest achievements and smallest acts of kindness. He spoke of explorers who crossed oceans with nothing but courage, of inventors who turned ideas into reality, of families who endured hardship with hope intact. The princess listened intently, her eyes reflecting understanding and admiration. "You see," she said finally, "your people have a spirit that matters. In a galaxy filled with power and complexity, such qualities are rare and valuable. They remind us that survival is not only about strength or technology, but also about heart, courage, and insight." Ryan nodded, humbled by her words. "It is not always easy to remember that, Princess. Humans struggle and doubt themselves often. Yet perhaps that struggle is what makes us capable of such persistence." The princess smiled, a quiet and knowing expression. "Indeed. Growth comes through challenge, understanding through experience, and connection through honesty. You have demonstrated all of these." They walked together along a gently glowing path, the light reflecting off the trees and streams around them. The princess spoke of diplomacy, history, and the delicate balance of life among the stars. Ryan listened carefully, absorbing knowledge and perspective. Yet he also shared insights from humanity, explaining how small choices, courage, and honesty could ripple across worlds in unexpected ways. By the time the sun began to set across the twin horizons of Lumerus, Ryan realized that something extraordinary had formed. It was not just admiration, nor simple respect. It was a bond of understanding that transcended language, species, and distance. It was proof that connections could be made through honesty, courage, and shared purpose. "You have shown humanity's strength," the princess said as they paused near a stream of softly glowing water. "Not in force, not in numbers, but in heart. That is why I trust your people, and why I wish to see you again. Trust grows slowly, but it can change the course of worlds." Ryan bowed once more. "I will honor that trust, Princess. I promise that humanity will continue to show its worth through action and honesty." She nodded, serene and radiant. "I believe you, Ryan. And in believing, I see what the galaxy can gain from your people. You have shown that even a single honest voice can carry significance beyond expectation." As he left the garden and returned to the Aurora, Ryan felt a sense of purpose stronger than ever before. Humanity's journey among the stars was not defined solely by exploration, technology, or strategy. It was defined by honesty, courage, and the connections formed across species. Through trust, respect, and shared understanding, humans could achieve a place that no measurement of power could provide. That night, as the ship drifted silently above the glowing capital of Lumerus, Ryan gazed out at the stars. Somewhere far above, the princess observed quietly, her thoughts thoughtful. She had not only seen human action but had glimpsed the essence of the species itself. Humanity had passed tests not through force, but through heart and spirit, earning recognition that could ripple across the galaxy. Ryan whispered softly to himself, a quiet acknowledgement of what had grown between them. "We are human, and we will continue. We will act with honesty, courage, and care." The galaxy stretched endlessly before him, full of challenges, wonders, and possibilities. Yet for the first time, he felt a deep certainty: humanity was not merely a small species among many. They were capable, remarkable, and seen. And a bond had formed, one that would guide them as they moved forward together among the stars. The human vessel moved steadily through the stars, carrying Lyra and her allies toward her home planet. The tension that had marked the previous days had faded, replaced by focused determination. Every member of the crew knew that the challenges ahead would be greater than anything they had faced in space, but they trusted Ryan's leadership. Lyra sat beside him in the control room, her luminous eyes scanning the stars. She had made her choice to return to her kingdom and lead her people with courage and wisdom. She understood that leadership required more than power; it required trust, action, and the willingness to face danger without hesitation. Ryan's fearless act on the moon had shown her the meaning of true courage. Ryan glanced at her, noticing her resolve. "Are you ready?" he asked softly. She nodded. "I am. I will face them, whatever comes. And I will do so with allies I can trust." The crew prepared for entry into the planet's atmosphere. Sensors indicated no immediate threats, but vigilance remained high. Ryan guided the vessel carefully, maneuvering past asteroid fields and space debris, ensuring a safe descent. Lyra watched his hands move steadily over the controls, confidence in every gesture. As they approached the planet, a fleet of ships appeared on the sensors. These were not enemies. They carried the colors and insignia of Lyra's kingdom, but their numbers and formation were unusual. The princess's pulse quickened. She had expected hostility, yet she also sensed opportunity. Ryan remained calm. "They are watching us. Observe their movements. We may need to communicate carefully to avoid conflict." Lyra's guards tensed but remained silent. They trusted her judgment. She took a deep breath, thinking of the human who had shown her that courage could be simple yet powerful. She knew what she must do. She activated her communicator, broadcasting a clear message to the approaching fleet. "I am Lyra, heir to the throne of this kingdom. We come in peace and seek to restore balance and trust among our people." The fleet responded cautiously at first, then began to adjust their formation. Ryan noted the subtle signals, recognizing that her words had influence. "They are listening," he said quietly. "Your courage is showing them the way." Lyra nodded, her focus unwavering. "I will lead with clarity and action. They must see that fear will not guide me. Only courage and trust will." The fleet allowed the human vessel to approach the planet's surface. Atmospheric entry was smooth, and the team guided the ship to a secure landing site near the capital city. The streets below were tense, with citizens and soldiers alike watching the arrival of the heir and her allies. Lyra's guards and Ryan stood beside her as she stepped onto the platform. The crowd remained silent, observing her every move. She raised her hand in a gesture of peace and authority. Her eyes glowed faintly, a sign of her status, but also a reflection of the courage that had grown within her. Ryan remained close, offering support without overshadowing her presence. He understood that leadership belonged to her, but his presence reminded everyone that trust and action could cross worlds. A council of advisors approached, their expressions skeptical. Lyra addressed them calmly. "My people, I have returned not only as heir but as one who has seen courage in action beyond our borders. We face threats not just from enemies, but from fear itself. Trust and action will guide us forward." The council murmured, some in agreement, some in doubt. Lyra took a deep breath, recalling the fearless act that had begun on the moon. That act had built trust, inspired courage, and now it gave her strength to speak with authority. Ryan stepped slightly aside, giving her space, yet his presence was reassuring. The council listened as she continued. "We must act with clarity, courage, and trust. Only then can we restore balance to our kingdom and protect our people from those who would divide us." Slowly, the murmurs shifted to nods. Lyra's words carried weight not because of her title alone, but because of the confidence, courage, and clarity she displayed. The council realized that leadership required not only authority but action guided by trust and bravery. Outside, citizens watched as the princess addressed the council. Her courage inspired hope, and many felt a renewed sense of loyalty. They had seen a leader who faced danger without hesitation, who trusted allies beyond their world, and who acted with purpose. Ryan observed quietly, feeling a sense of pride. He had not acted for recognition, yet his fearless guidance had helped shape this moment. He understood that courage could create bonds that changed worlds. As the council agreed to support her, Lyra turned slightly toward Ryan. "Your guidance, your fearless acts, they have taught me the meaning of courage," she said softly. "I will carry this lesson into every decision I make." Ryan shook his head modestly. "The courage was always yours. I only helped you see it." With the council's support, Lyra moved quickly to implement plans that would secure her kingdom. Strategic alliances were strengthened, defensive measures improved, and citizens inspired by her bravery began to act with trust and determination. Ryan assisted where needed, combining human ingenuity with alien technology. Together, they created strategies that neither species could have achieved alone. Their teamwork demonstrated that courage and trust could cross worlds and bring remarkable results. Days passed, and the kingdom began to stabilize. Lyra's enemies found themselves unable to challenge her authority effectively. Her clear decisions, guided by courage and trust, allowed the kingdom to unite. Citizens and soldiers alike followed her lead, inspired by her actions rather than her title. One evening, as the sun set over the capital, Lyra and Ryan stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The streets were alive with celebration and renewed energy. Citizens moved with purpose, aware that courage and trust had restored balance. "You have shown me what fearless action can achieve," Lyra said softly. "I will not forget it." Ryan smiled. "And I have learned that courage and trust can change worlds. Together, we have done more than survive. We have created hope." Lyra's eyes glowed with quiet determination. "The journey is not over, but we have proven that courage, trust, and fearless action can overcome even the greatest threats. Our worlds are stronger together." Ryan nodded, knowing that the bond they had formed would endure. The fearless act that had begun on a moon, pressing a hand against a wound without hesitation, had grown into a legendary alliance. Two worlds, human and alien, now stood united by courage, trust, and action beyond fear. As the night sky filled with stars, Lyra and Ryan looked ahead, ready to face whatever challenges might come. The future was uncertain, but with courage and trust guiding them, they knew that fear would never determine their path. They had survived, grown, and inspired hope in ways that would echo across their worlds for generations.